Hey everyone, this is my first video, so I'm gonna try to stay consistent in my thoughts and just kind of get my words out there. My name is Skylar Jensen. So I have been a corporate professional. Just kind of give you an understanding of my background a little bit. I first started my career in sales. Now, I was an LDS missionary. Served a mission from 19 to 21, so I was 2010 to 2012. After which I started my career in sales. My path brought me to a company called ClearLink, where I was selling basically multiple products, home utilities, so like DirecTV, Dish, internet, even landlines. That was, back in the early 2000s. So obviously there's no landlines anymore, but was there for almost 5 years. Was consistently in the top 20% for about my first couple of years, and then I got to the point where I was in the top 10%. Got awards, got all the trips that they give. There was a weekly annual trip to Vegas that they would take the top 10% of reps on, and I was able to go a couple times. Being LDS, that wasn't the most conducive environment, but it was fun. I had some buddies that I hung out with that were of my faith, and so I was able to enjoy my time there. After which, I made a shift in my career to sales training and sales enablement. Found an opportunity in California, El Dorado Hills. My wife is from Folsom, California, and one of her friends that she grew up with had started a solar company out there. Door-to-door sales, but it was doing very, very well. And they were in a position where they wanted to scale their sales teams. And for those of you that have done door-to-door sales before, you probably know that training is minimal. Retention is through the tube, usually in the first month or two, because it's really just mass recruiting and then finding those that have the grit and the stamina to figure it out on their own. It's a 1099 role. But I came into this friend of my wife's at this company and proposed them basically an idea of creating an enablement, an enablement strategy. Part of that included an onboarding program that I would basically a 1 week boot camp that we would put people through. And it wasn't just like, go to a room and role play, which there was role playing involved, but it was definitely more of a heavy boot camp. And we actually had pitches and objection handlers, and teaching basic sales skills formally, not just doing a couple role plays in front of a door and go out there. But it was really to the point of trying to get these guys to really know a pitch so that they could operate conversationally with a client. We saw a lot of success with that. So I was with the company for 3 years. After only a few months, we saw a dramatic increase in retention, over 50%, and actually ramp-up times over time had decreased by about 30 days for their first deal. So we saw a lot of success. So what our COO and our VP of growth wanted to do was scale that program to the other 4 offices that they had throughout the North and South California parts, so different regions. And so I in tandem partnered with them to scale this using basically a combination of in-person delivery of sales trainers, recruited sales trainers really directly from the sales team, and had them run this curriculum that I had created, teaching these guys how to sell solar. And so we also in turn started using more of a hybrid delivery model. So we acquired an LMS, Litmus, and then scaled that, basically building out not just some of the onboarding material, but different certifications, different learning paths for different roles, specifically within the sales teams, as they continue to move through different levels of their career, from junior rep to senior rep to assistant manager, sales manager, giving them not only the product knowledge and the sales knowledge, but also the skills to manage a team, build a team, and maintain that. So I had a lot of success with that there. Then, so I was for basically 2017 to mid 2020. You guys obviously know that's during COVID. And so during that time we had COVID, the shutdown. California kind of got hit the worst, and basically, we couldn't even leave our houses at one point except to go get groceries or get gas, which I know that's not exclusive to California, but it was a hard time for everybody. So basically, in that moment, we had kind of a company. Most companies had furloughs, waiting to kind of wait this out. My family was in a position where we knew that probably staying it was in Folsom, California at the time, if you know the Sacramento area. We knew that probably being a young family, a couple kids, Folsom was probably not the place for us to kind of settle down and buy a home, being the prices of real estate that were there. So then I found another opportunity, basically networking and applying to jobs as we do, right? I found an opportunity in Austin, Texas, for a company called CAE Online, and basically they do commodity trading. So they trade semiconductor manufacturing equipment on the global circuit, kind of like the used car market, but I don't want to say that because it sounds it oversimplifies it, right? Because we're trading these basically semiconductor manufacturing tools. For those of you who know semiconductors, we're trading the front end and back end manufacturing equipment between fabs, right? So this is more commercial and enterprise level deals that we are doing, establishing long-term relationships, as well as even short, kind of one and done deals with these companies based on their manufacturing needs and their orders at the time and what parts they need, etc. Built out their enablement. They had something established, but then I was hired to come in there, revamp the onboarding, and create continued learning strategies for them. Now, fast forward again about 5 years. So last year in February of 2025, there was a strategic shift in our market, basically where a big chunk of our revenue, which was coming from the Asia-based countries, was slashed because certain countries refused to trade with us. And also with tariffs, those were a lot of unknowns from Trump as far as how that was going to affect our industry. Shipping large machines across country borders, going through customs, the cost of that. So long story short, a lot of our upper leadership, our chief people officer, our COO, our president, they took off, took their funding with them, their skills with them, and I was laid off. Then one thing I've always prided myself in, and I say this humbly, is I've been blessed to be able to find opportunities really quickly. And I found an opportunity, basically that was in February. I found another opportunity in April with a company called Intermex. They do fintech software, so SaaS sales, but on a commercial basis, and it's a direct sell to merchant model. They do money transfers internationally, so we use our agents or merchants that use our software to help people in our country send funds to family members, to beneficiaries in other countries. Specifically, they focus more on Mexico, South America, and Mexico, Dominican Republic were kind of their main hits. That was in April. I was hired, fast forward to June. I was, unbeknownst to me, after busting my butt, learning the sell, learning the business, going out. This is a field sales model, so I'm out in the field, going to Houston, going out to Miami was where they're based, shadowing our salespeople, learning the software, the product, just all of that. Even establishing monthly trainings with the RevOps team, the RevOps team and the sales managing team, and also I had 2 trainers underneath me in this role, and they were having new software updates coming in, really heavy updates to the software, and to roll that out and to kind of keep sales teams up to date. I was only there for about a little less than 3 months. I was laid off in June, and I say laid off lightly. I don't mean to get a little emotional here, but basically I was busting my butt, working really hard, and then there was something that happened internally, a strategic shift. The company went through an acquisition to Western Union, which I think that might have been a contributing factor to deciding to let me go. As I was there only a short period of time, I was really busting my butt and doing everything I could. So I was fired. Like, say late, I mean, I had no rhyme or reason why I was laid off, why I was let go. They just said that it was a better decision at the time, basically a strategic decision at the time, better for them to go in a different direction. That's all that they told me. That's all that my boss told me. That's all the HR told me, and I was, boom, out. Now, obviously, that was pretty devastating. Again, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I own a house. I built a house. I have, obviously, like just all of us adults do, and we did our best. My wife and I did our best too. We've always prided ourselves in trying to be good with our finances, always paying cash for cars, always keeping at least 6 months of expenses, at least, in our savings accounts, having emergency funds on top of that. So we felt we were going to be okay. And I was confident in my abilities to try to find another job. And that was in June. Here we are, mid-February, and that was in June of 2025. Here we are mid-February of 2026. At the time when I was laid off, I was confident. Obviously, it hits anybody. I'm not going to act like my ego wasn't hurt, that it wasn't a hard time for our family, and it has been, and we're still in it. I was made, like all of you, when we're laid off, we make finding a job our full-time job. Pulling late nights, doing applications, revamping resumes for 8 hours plus hours a day, all sporadically throughout the day, networking, reaching out LinkedIn to different stakeholders within companies, trying to create opportunities. And I even at that time started my own consulting, for my own personal consulting, and I started doing that for a couple people, a couple companies. And I'll say that, and if any of you know the consulting world, it's hard to make it sustainable in a short period of time, as far as creating a funnel, learning who your ICP is going to be, and then really nailing down your value proposition, and then being able to package that in a short period of time to scale. And I was doing that kind of on the side. I wouldn't fully jump into it because I knew I had a skill set, and we kind of came to a point, because we were living off only our savings at this point. We came to a point where I was like, I have this skill. I know organizations will pay X amount of money for this, and I'm still young. Like in the corporate world, youth is the holy grail, so to speak. I'm not old. I just turned 35. I was 34 at the time. Kind of the peak of my career. And again, busting my butt, right? And here we are, February of 2026. And I was starting the whole journey from being laid off from CAE in February of 2025, then to being laid off, let go from Intermex in 2020 in June. Here we are living off savings, and we're coming to a point. Obviously, savings doesn't last forever, right? And I'm here to this point. And I'll be honest with you guys, why I'm doing this, and I actually don't really know why I'm doing this, but I feel impressed, and I am a man of God. So for those of you that don't believe in that, that's okay. Still love you. That's what drives me. My faith is what drives me through life. Believing that everything happens for a reason, that God is involved in the details of our lives in some way. Even those times we don't understand, which I'm in the thick of that right now. I don't understand why we're doing this, why I busted my butt for over a decade in the executive world, thinking I was being successful, working my way up the corporate ladder, finally getting to a point where I was like, okay, I've made it in the corporate world where I want to be, as far as income, stability, and then here I am. And I want to post this, and I'm going to start posting more frequently, because I have a lot of thoughts on my mind, and I just need to get them out. And I hope that this resonates with somebody, that it clicks with somebody, touches somebody, especially those that are of faith. This has been a faith journey for me. It's bad. I've been, and I'm not through it, right? I'm still in the thick of it. I'm actually in the line picking up my kids from school, but I'm in the thick of it, and I obviously pray, fast, wondering what's going to happen to my family, what's going to happen to us. And so I just want to let people know that you're not alone out there. There are people, there's hope. Whether you find that in my case, it's with Jesus Christ, and my faith in him and faith in God. But there is hope as if we're continuing to get better, and improve and learn from our mistakes. And again, I just want to post this. I want to let people know that you're not alone in this, that you are loved, that I can't see your faces. I don't know who you are, but I love people. And I think there's a world full of goodness, a world full of good people. And I strive to be one of those. I'm not perfect at it. Anyone that knows me deeply, you can ask my wife or my kids, and they'll tell you what kind of mistakes that I've made, and the imperfections I have, maybe those that I've interacted with. But I've always tried to be kind and cordial in my pursuit of my version of greatness, my version of being the best that I can be. And I want to be authentic. I want to be real. And I know that a lot of people that maybe have been involved in religion, especially organized religion. I'm involved in organized religion, but there's always a frustration of inauthenticity, right? There's still the corporate side of church, and I'm not bashing on that. I understand the need for it, but I want to post this because I want to be genuine with all of you and know that you're not alone, that you are loved, and I'm right there with you. I'm still in the thick of this. I actually just interviewed with a company this week. Started the process last week, and I thought it was going to go very, very well. I went to the second interview this week, and the hiring manager was, it seemed to go very well. In his very words, I quote him, "This was a very good interview, and looking forward to next steps." And then this morning, I got an email from that company saying they wanted to move another way. In the corporate world, I always seek feedback. I reached out to the hiring manager, reached out to the recruiter, hope of hearing back, but I'm not, obviously, as you know, corporate, you don't expect, my hope with that, it's a little low, but that's just who I am. But I want this channel to be a place for people that feel alone. There is strength and there's one thing in the social media world, and I'm a millennial, right? I already said I'm 35, so I've kind of dated myself already. But seeing the revolution of technology from when I remember when I was in junior high school, cell phones just started becoming a thing. We were doing the flip phones, and I remember the first iPhone came out, like, oh, the touch screen is crazy. Then Facebook came out in high school, or it was MySpace, then Facebook. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit of a slow innovator when it came to that. But I didn't believe all of you see this, that the good that technology is, the good that it can do. There's a lot of, I believe, harm from technology, whether we're talking psychological, physical, in my case, I think spiritually. There's a lot of damage that can be done with social media, but also there's a lot of good in spreading messages. So I want to be a voice for good, and that's why I'm starting this. And I just want to post, you guys, love you. Hope that this finds you well, and I look forward to posting more frequently, getting on my rants, and I appreciate you listening. But have a great day. Know that you're loved, and I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye, guys.